This Ask Misty is from LaShay, Nickole. Dear Misty, I recently moved back to my hometown, and now, since I started doing drag, I've become a spectacle, and people treat me like a celebrity. They take pictures, asking for autographs, etc. I can't even enjoy myself while out without being approached. How do I deal with all this unwanted attention, LaShay? The first thing I'm going to say to you, Miss LaShay, is the grass is always green on the other side of the fence, first of all. Meaning, if you're busy at work and you work 80 hours a week, you're going to complain because you're working too much. But if you don't have a job and you're home without a job, you're going to complain because you're not working. Receiving too much attention is much better than not receiving any attention. In fact, when you stop getting that much attention, you're really going to miss it, and you're going to wish that it happened. Yes, it is a hurdle and it is a cross to bear, but it's not the worst. There are many more things that are worse than that. Let's put it that way. Yes, I do know what you're going through. Out of drag, I was on a date with a Colombian who just happens to be a very jealous Latino. And we were at a bar, and we were very intimate in that I was sitting on a stool with my legs open. He was standing, one leg between my legs, the other leg over here, and he was nuzzling in my ear and like kissing my neck and whispering and whatever. We were dating, and somebody walked up as if I wasn't busy and was like, "Oh my God, you're Misty Eyez, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, I can't believe what you've done for drag in Fort Lauderdale, and you've really helped the community, and you blah, 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 blah," and just kept going on and on and on. And I was like, "Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you. And thank you. And thank you. And thank you." And the guy that I was with, we're no longer dating, but the guy I was with got inflamed. He got severely jealous and very upset. And I was like, I don't know why you're so mad. You know, I live in the public eye, and I do things that I try to do what I can to not be so recognizable out of drag, but people are going to recognize me. And I'm never going to be rude to them because you're nothing without your fans. And he basically got very flippant and was like, "I don't want to share you with the public," and whatever. Long story short, we stopped dating. And I will never date somebody that can't tolerate that. Yes, it is ballsy for someone to walk up. We weren't kissing, but we were very intimate. It's very ballsy for someone to interrupt you in that moment. But at the same token, I'm not going to be a bitch and be like, "Fuck off, I'm busy," you know. But I would never date somebody that would be mad at me for not giving somebody the time of day. I never want to discourage people from saying hello. Now, in your situation, you know, there are awkward times like being on a date or being at church or in the grocery store. But when you're alone and you're just minding your own business, I mean, I always stop and take pictures with people. I guess what I'm trying to say is you get used to it. Yes, there are situations like being on a date that you wish it wouldn't happen, but I'm in the tanning bed. "Hi, how are you?" "Oh my gosh, of course." You know, whatever. It doesn't bother me anymore. But trust and believe, the second that attention goes away, you're really going to miss it. You're going to be like, "What am I doing wrong? Why don't people like me anymore?" Celebrities are the same way. For example, I used to work at the Cheesecake Aventura Mall, and I worked there for 5 years. And one time, the first time I waited on Brandy, Moesha Brandy, she came in with her bodyguard and her little brother and a couple other people. There was like 6 or 7 of them. And they came in, they made a big deal at the front door, told the management that they wanted a table far, far away. They wanted to be out of the public eye. They didn't want any attention. They didn't want to be bothered. They wanted to have privacy. We get it. So the manager came to me, I was a shift leader that day, and was like, "We're going to open the rotunda," which was like a circle in the back of the restaurant. "Can you take the table?" I'm like, "Of course, whatever." I treated them exactly the way I would treat anybody else. I wasn't starstruck. Of course I know who Brandy is. Of course I like Brandy. But I didn't know her friends. I guess Ray J was there and I didn't know who he was at the time. And she wasn't getting the attention she was craving. Like, the busboys weren't walking by, the other customers weren't looking at them, because they were really placed out of the way. And the funny thing, she had a baby at the time. It was many years ago. She had a baby, and she got up with the baby and decided to walk around the entire restaurant and, you know, crock the baby, cradle and burp the baby or whatever, instead of walking around her little section to rock the baby, who wasn't screaming or crying. She had to rock the baby around the entire restaurant. And then that's when she got the buzz, like, oh my gosh, is that Brandy? Is that Brandy? Is that Brandy? So of course you start to crave it. You want your privacy, but the second you have too much privacy, you're like, well, I want people to, you know, give me attention. And even she did that. You know, but at the same token, they were glad that I gave them amazing service without being, oh my gosh, because the very next day, the security guard came back with Ray J and was like, we want that one. I'm not telling you my boy name, but they wanted me. So, yeah. Celebrities are the same way. And of course celebrities want attention, but they don't want negative paparazzi, but they want attention. So I guess, long story short, it might be a hard pill to swallow, but I think you need to swallow it. Loving you is easy. Bye-bye.